Walker for CapitalWeatherGang.com. Thanks for joining me on this weekly Sunday Sunset Chat. We've got some flooding downpour potential, less than last night, but still kind of there for the evening hours and overnight hours tonight. A small break from the rain tomorrow. And then, before our final cold front finally clears us out on Wednesday, we have another flooding downpour threat later Tuesday into Wednesday as well. So we will talk about the latest to the near term, medium term, and long term, and the tropics and pollen levels, you name it. Let me know if you have any questions on Twitter, YouTube, or Facebook as we go through our 20-minute weekly chat on this weekly Sunday Sunset Live chat. I'm Camden Walker for CapitalWeatherGang.com, focused on how we've got precipitation giving us a small break after tonight's downpour threats. So far, I see only one warning on radar down toward Fredericksburg and King George, but so far luckily no flooding issues to speak of tonight at this moment. But there is that flooding downpour risk. Flash flooding can't be completely ruled out as we go into this evening, so we will keep you posted if we see anything develop like that tonight. All right, and we've got one more downpour threat on Tuesday night into Wednesday as well. So worth keeping that in mind before this cold front finally clears us out later on Wednesday. We should have a nice Thursday, Friday, and the weekend, it looks like. So we will earn this rain. We need this rain. We've just had a little bit too much too quickly, focused in the same spots for a little while, but we could see around an inch when all is said and done through middle part of this week through Wednesday around town. Generally, northeast of town is the favorite area for even heavier rains. But look at that, at least out in the Shenandoah Valley, where we are seeing some rain deficits and droughts, we are seeing some focus of the rain through Wednesday as well. Well below 100% of what we'd normally see in the last 30 days out there in the central part of Virginia, of the Shenandoah Valley. So where the reds and oranges are, we continue to need rain in the medium term. The last 30 days have been dry. Even beyond the last 30 days, we have been dry, with the drought growing there in the darkest orange. That is a D2, a severe drought that continues to grow in the central and northern parts of the Shenandoah River Valley and the Shenandoah National Park. Temperatures this upcoming week are going to remain seasonably warm. In this animation, you can see it takes until Thursday and Friday to get maybe below 80 degrees, which is a little below average for this time of year. But Canadian high pressure does move in for late week into the weekend, bringing those dew points down from the sticky and pleasant category toward the dry and pleasant category by the time we end this work week and into the weekend. So look forward, if you are a fan of more autumnal-like weather, we should be cheering this cold front getting through to leave us with drier, more comfortable air and comfortable temperatures on Thursday and Friday and into this weekend. All right, my PM update is right here at CWG.news/latest. Thanks for following me on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Make sure you follow us on all three of our social media channels, and anytime you need us, we're at CapitalWeatherGang.com. Looks like I've caught up on my Twitter comments. Facebook, David, hey, good evening. Good to see you. Charlene, hello. Carol, hello. Hi, Ruth, Lisa. Thanks so much for tuning in as well. And anyone on YouTube, let me know if you can chime in. I will see your comments all centralized here as well. I'm pleased to simulcast to you on our weekly Sunday Sunset Chat on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And let's go into the medium term. We've got the precipitation pattern for next week, looking further ahead, still favoring with a slight probability of above average precipitation. Northeast of town is the kind of favorite corridor. Now, will we add more to our heat tracker next work week? I kind of lean toward no, even though you see here in the light orange, that is an indication of a slight probability for above average temperatures. But here's what's interesting. After September 20th, our average high temperatures dip below 80 degrees. So even with a decent above average little mini heat wave, it's going to be harder and harder to get toward 90 degrees and higher. So I don't think we will, personally, I don't think we're going to see 90 degrees next week, but we'll keep you posted if we do add to our heat tracker next week as well. All right, so here it is, the tropical updates. We've got our next named storm is Nigel on our list. Margot has developed. Lee, of course, we're keeping an eye on. We'll see if one of these two disturbances, near the Cabo Verde Islands develops this next 7 days into Nigel, but so far we just have Margot and Lee out there. Lee is currently still expected to keep its center of circulation and its tropical storm force winds which are, broader area that's kind of further away from the center of circulation, from an eye or center of circulation for a tropical storm. So I wanted to give you kind of the idea that the good news is winds, even tropical storm force winds, have a very, very good probability, if not guaranteed, nearly guaranteed, to stay offshore of the East Coast as it stands now. The track could shift a little bit as we get toward late week into the weekend. Worth keeping an eye on things, but it here shows you the earliest reasonable time of even seeing these tropical storm force winds offshore of the mid-Atlantic would be late Thursday into early Friday. So we still have plenty of time to watch it. If anything, this is a good dry run for going through a hurricane plan with your family. Make sure you have the means, the goods, a plan to take action on if this track, for some reason, very unlikely, shifts further toward the west, toward us in the mid-Atlantic. But it's always good to have just kind of a plan B in the back of your mind, and to activate your friends and family network further inland or away from the track of a storm. Or, of course, there could still be inland flooding or other wind issues. But we do keep you posted on CapitalWeatherGang.com. Matt Capucci right here has written our latest on Lee. So it could strengthen. It definitely deserves watching in the next 5 to 7 days. And we'll keep you posted at CapitalWeatherGang.com. Paul, good evening. You're ready for fall. Hey, Julia from YouTube. I appreciate seeing you. And we've got the last 90-degree day on average, David, is, I think, September 29th or 28th or so. So late September. We're getting there. We can almost retire the heat tracker. But, of course, the moment I do that, we'll have our 90-degree day pop up. Thanks for tuning in from Twitter. Good to see you. And Charlene, these warm temps ruining the leaf fall color. I don't think so. I don't think here in September that's an issue. I think we had enough rain in the summer, and then we'll get enough cold temperatures in October. We should still be okay with some decent fall foliage this year. Ruth Elisa, go to CWG.news/hat to see. I think that link still has some of our hat designs. They're winter hats, I think, there. Peter, hello. Thanks for tuning in from Facebook. And Michael, I've noticed a little bit of early color, but some of that could be the drought conditions stressing the chlorophyll in the leaves and making them turn away from the healthy green color. Mike, yep, you've been very dry and probably seeing some leaf color changes already. Hey, Mark, thanks for tuning in from YouTube. Appreciate seeing you as well. All right, let's continue to make sure, of course, one last pollen check for my fellow allergy sufferers. Weeds continue to still bother us, so you're not alone, and thanks for following on all three of our social media channels. But luckily, trees, grass, and mold are all fairly low as it looks right now. So we just have to watch those pesky ragweed type allergies into the autumn as we get into further and further into the fall. All right, my PM update at CWG.news/latest. The radar is fairly active south of town. King George, Fredericksburg, you over the next 45 minutes or so do have a severe thunderstorm warning and some flooding further southeast of there, closer toward, I think, Caroline County, Bowling Green. So there are some corridors of heavy rain tonight. We do expect the downpour threat to last into maybe the early morning hours, hopefully waning after midnight. But we do get a small break tomorrow. Rain chances are a little bit lower. Downpour chances are much lower. But later Tuesday into Wednesday, as we'll discuss, another cold front as it gets closer, finally clearing us out before Thursday and Friday to give us nice weather there at the end of the week. That's a little cooler, a little more comfortable. We have to deal with another threat of downpours middle part of this week as well. So let's go into the precipitation animation just to show you the pattern, with some downpour chances clearing out tonight, a break tomorrow, maybe later Tuesday and into Wednesday. Look at that heavier rain potential moving in again. The flooding downpour potential does happen. Here's tonight's 15 to 30% chance of exceeding downpours falling fast enough and intense enough to see some flash flooding in the region, especially in the yellow shading. And just a marginal chance before this front moves through finally late Wednesday, early Thursday, that we see some more flooding downpours. Very tiny chance, but worth mentioning for later Tuesday into Wednesday, maybe even Wednesday nights, depending on the speed at which this cold front can move through. So we're not completely done with the downpours, but we do need the rain in much of the area. This is a welcome 1 inch of rain, even over some of the drought areas in central Virginia and the central Shenandoah Valley. We continue to have a rain deficit. Over the last 30 days, your soils and crops and gardens have been very crispy and very stressed out in this part of the region. Even in the oranges, that's well below 100% of what we normally see in the last 30 days. Even longer term, the drought, continues to grow, unfortunately, in the central and northern Shenandoah Valley. So hopefully these rains can stop it from getting worse. I am cautiously pessimistic that we won't really see much whittling away of some of these drought areas, the D1 and the D2 drought, kind of west of DC, and the D2 is what's known as a severe drought. D2 is a severe drought west of DC. This could take a few more rounds of rain, even beyond this week, to kind of get that under control. Temperatures. This animation shows you it takes until Thursday and Friday to get that Canadian high pressure in here, to get us back into comfortable temperatures below 80 degrees and dew points below 70 degrees. So we'll kind of be on the dew point scale starting off the week and sticky and pleasant, going down to dry and pleasant by the end of the week. So look forward to the end of the week and the weekend if you are more of a fall weather lover. All right, Paul, the chances of Lee impacting the mid-Atlantic region with even tropical storm force winds. So I'll go into that again in 1 second, but it's very low, near zero. But still want to keep an eye on it. And of course, riptides and high surf are going to be an issue as we get into this week as well. Mike, I'm so happy you've gotten some decent rains there in the valley. And pattern shift, David, for the rain, we talked about that, and I'll go into that again. It looks like it's going to focus rains maybe northeast of town again next week, just with a slight leaning that way. And last 90-degree day is... the average day is September 12th. Kevin, that's great. Through 1991, 2020. And Peter, precipitation temperature outlook for next work week. I'll go into that in 1 second. And Culpeper could indeed use more than just that half inch of rain you've gotten recently. Steve, thanks so much for tuning in from Facebook. All right, I think we should zoom ahead to the precipitation pattern for next week, kind of looking further ahead in the future. Favoring northeast of town, slight lean with probability toward above average precipitation, especially northeast of town. Our heat tracker is probably safe from adding another 90-degree day even next week with a slight lean toward above average temperatures. Keep in mind by September 20th time frame, we are finally getting our average temperature, high temperature at DCA below 80 degrees. So even leaning above average with this slight probability doesn't really anymore guarantee a 90-degree day in the DC area. All right, so that's, if you're a fan of kind of cooler averages, we're getting there toward the end of September. All right, I think we also had Paul, was that you, I think, asking about the tropics. We've got Margot and Lee out there. The next named storm would be Nigel. If one of these two near the Cabo Verde Islands can manage to develop in the next 7 days, the orange X actually has a moderate chance of developing in the next 7 days, more than the yellow X, which is only a slight chance. Even though the orange moderate chance disturbance is kind of further behind, but anyway, the conditions are more conducive in the next 7 days. It's in a better situation. Winds are a little more favorable to allow that one to potentially develop. We'll continue to watch the tropics, but near term, yes, we're still keeping an eye on Lee. The good news is tropical storm force winds pictured here in the color indications, even dark green, is only a 5% chance of tropical storm force winds. I'm trying to give you a broader sense of, disassociate the circulation center, the eye of the storm, because this is a growing size storm. You want to make sure that impacts don't even graze you, right? So for those who are risk averse, I wanted you to see and take a breath of more relaxed air that the tropical storm force winds are still expected to stay offshore through the end of this week as it looks now. The earliest expected time frame we'd even have to worry about Lee at our latitude looks to be late Thursday to early Friday in the mid-Atlantic, and again expected to stay well offshore. But I encourage you to let's not rest on our laurels just yet. The track could still shift a little bit. Matt Capucci has been kind enough to give us updates all weekend at capitalweathergang.com, so see the latest he has on Lee. The eastern United States, let's say Cape Cod, down East Maine, still need to keep an eye on things before it recurves out to sea. It could still graze things there. The Canadian Maritimes, I think, are well aware for the last couple of days. They are seeing a higher likelihood of an impact from Lee, even if it does turn extratropical and post-tropical by the time it gets to the Canadian Maritimes. That is a pretty serious concern for them. And Annette, very nice weekend. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And I think, David, we have a second list somewhere from the WMO. I don't think we go to Greek letters anymore. Let's pretend that we're not going to get there, and I won't have to look that up. But no, David, I don't think we'll have to get past the alphabet of our main list in the tropical Atlantic as it stands now. Keep in mind, peak of hurricane season is here, right around, today, September 10th, and that's the typical climatological peak of hurricane season. So hopefully, as we get toward mid-October, when there's that little secondary peak of activity, we can calm things down quickly after that. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, there's our direct addresses there. I'm simulcasting to you live on all three channels tonight. I'm Camden Walker for CapitalWeatherGang.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is our weekly Sunday Sunset Chat. I'm on the air another 4 minutes, it looks like. Quick pollen check. Of course, like last week, weeds are the main culprits, the moderate level there. For all of us fellow allergy sufferers, you're not alone, but luckily trees, grasses, mold and mildew spores are all behaving as it looks so far now. Here it is, my latest forecast at CWG.news/latest, a forecast at a glance here at the bottom from Aris Weather, which you can also find on CapitalWeatherGang.com. And the radar here is active south of town, King George, just east of Fredericksburg, under severe thunderstorm warning for the next 40 minutes or so, I believe. And we can expect more downpours and kind of a hit or miss flooding downpour threats, maybe some gusty winds and hail and a couple storms, especially south of town. And some of these could last past midnight, but slowly activity should wane as we get through the late evening overall. I just want everyone to stay a little bit weather aware this one more night. We do get a break tomorrow from the downpours. But then again, as I'll show you graphically in a moment, we do have another flooding downpour threat later Tuesday into Wednesday as well. So the pattern in this animation of precipitation, our break comes tomorrow. Can't rule out a shower or storm tomorrow, but the downpour threat is not there again until that heavier rain moves back in, potentially later Tuesday and through Wednesday and Wednesday night. We've got to get that front through here by early Thursday, and then we'll discuss the good news on that in a minute. But the downpours ahead of it, this is tonight's over 15% chance, at least a 15% chance in the yellow that we see flooding downpours in the yellow here. And again, with luckily a smaller chance as it looks now for later Tuesday through Wednesday, and maybe even Wednesday night, we could see more flooding downpours before the front moves through very early Thursday as it stands now. Welcome rains for the most part. Around an inch is lovely to see around the Beltway and even in the central Shenandoah Valley, where we have a rainfall deficit over the last 30 days. The reds and oranges there are very dry soils, a very low percentage, well below 100% of what we normally see in the last 30 days. Longer term, it's built into a severe drought, a D2 level drought there in the darker oranges in the Shenandoah Valley. Now, pivoting from precipitation to temperatures, it does get comfortable by Thursday and Friday, but ahead of it, we've got to deal with seasonably warm and sticky conditions in the 80s with some dew points maybe near 70 at time through Wednesday. But behind our cold front that moves through hopefully by very early Thursday, we will see Canadian high pressure move in with cooler temperatures and dew points back down into the dry, pleasant territory. All right, so dew points go down, Tom, by Thursday and Friday and into the weekend. Should hopefully maintain that nice, dry, comfortable air for you, Tom. And Paul, thanks so much for tuning in. Hey, I hope you're doing well from Facebook. And David, right now, downpours are expected tonight. Maybe some hit or miss showers and storms tomorrow, but then unfortunately downpours again threaten on later Tuesday into Wednesday. So hopefully that helps you think about the texture of the rainfall coming ahead of our cold front late Wednesday into Thursday that finally clears us out by early Thursday. Next Saturday looking good for the region, Paul. Enjoy your time in Annapolis and Kristen. Yep, looking forward to lower dew points at the end of the week, into the weekend. Me as well. I am too. All right, I think my last 30 seconds here, I'll leave you with my PM update and following us, please, on all three of our social media channels. I'm simulcasting to you live on all three tonight, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I have all the details here. Anytime you need us, of course, we're at capitalweathergain.com covering the tropics, covering our downpours threats, and just generally the forecast through this week, which settles down by Thursday and Friday and into the weekend. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next Sunday. And Matt will have our winter outlook closer to the Halloween, Thanksgiving time frame. So far, don't trust any entertainment purposes, the Farmer's Almanac or other sources. It's too soon to bring too many correlations from our weather right now to the weather for the winter. But Matt, I know we're all anxious to look ahead. And David, thanks so much for tuning in. Until next week. Indeed, you have a great week, Charlene, as well. And take care, Kristen. All right, bye, everyone. And just be a little weather aware with the flooding downpour threat tonight. And again, Tuesday night into Wednesday. And I will bid you adieu. Take care and cheers. Bye for now.